Okay. Hello.
Hello.
I'm Chad the Alcoholic, and I have a channel called Bridges of Meaning Hub channel. Also a channel called Chad the Alcoholic. And I don't know what we're going to talk about, but probably stuff. And then I don't know what channel this is going to land on. I don't know if it's going to be like, do you have a channel?
I have one with nothing on it yet.
Oh,
We can put it there if you want to. I don't care where it goes though. We put it anywhere.
okay. Yeah, you got that or oh, there's a straw here. I got there maybe I like the Wranglers United channel because that's I like that one because I like how it's kind of like more about like servicing the community as a whole, which is kind of cool. So yeah, whatever. I don't know. I don't even know what we're going to talk about. I was so what's your name?
Emilee, but also Mudhut is going like that's my artist thing. So it goes like I've been called both right now. So Emilee, but also Mudhut. That's like my illustration studio title thing or whatever.
Cool.
Yeah. So I thought we were gonna talk about you becoming Pope. Are we not doing that?
Oh God. I gotta send to voicemail. Bye-bye. Oh, there we are. That was my employer actually calling. So I don't need to talk to him right now. Wait, so what were you saying about
you becoming Pope?
Oh, yeah.
That's the topic at hand.
I'm definitely unqualified for that. I know in Green Bay, so I'm in Wisconsin, and in Green Bay they have like a Pope of Lambeau Field. So there's that. So I guess if they'll let that guy become Pope, they'll let anybody become Pope. But yeah. I don't really know what it means to be a Pope.
I have no idea, but the promotional video was really good.
Yeah, Chris is crazy. And so just so you guys know, we are both kind of ill-prepared YouTubers, and Chris happens to be like more professional, and so he hooked us up with the Zoom thingy, which is cool because I don't pay for Zoom because I'm cheap, and I didn't know you can actually record with unpaid for Zoom. So
I think for less than an hour, but I don't know because I'm also cheap and I don't pay for the Zoom. So yeah, we're all kind of circling Chris, I guess.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, like that dude's such a trip. So when I started doing whatever this is, like it was silly and fun. And then two people reached out to me. Jacob was the first person to reach out to me. I don't know his last name. He's the known as the Jewish Jacob.
Oh, I don't know that Jacob.
From Bridges of Meaning Discord. And he also has a YouTube channel. Jacob I don't know, something like that. FATCH something. I don't remember exactly. So he was the first person to reach out to me. And then after that, Chris was actually but Chris and I were the first two, or Chris was the first dude I actually talked with, the first person I actually talked with, because Jacob and I couldn't get the schedule right. But excuse me, sorry, I just ate a bunch of pizza and drinking this energy drink. So the first time that I was really terrified. I didn't know like how it was going to go. You know what I mean? Like talking with somebody for long form or whatever. Like I've listened to a bunch of it, but like to actually do it I was like, dude, no way. And then, but Chris is so like, makes it so easy, you know.
Yeah, he just goes with the flow or whatever, and it seems to work. Yeah.
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 And then he decided some crazy crap about a pope. Yeah,
That's how I found out who you were, because I don't go on the Bridges of Meaning Discord very much because it's just chaos to me. But
okay.
suddenly I'm like, he's like hashtag make Chad Pope. I'm like, who's Chad? Like, why is he gonna be Pope? What's happening? So yeah, he has a whole
So
thing about it. It's pretty awesome.
yeah, no, he's and like the different kinds of conversations he's willing to have with people. And I like that it's just like, to me, it's kind of like you know, Paul Vanderklay's channel, he talks about the estuary thing. I got this beard, sorry. I got this beard and it's like making me itch like crazy. But I think Chris does a good job with with like estuary type discussions. So, and
Yeah,
I'm really excited to see what you guys do with the check it out, Job.
yeah. I'm excited. We're get like it's started, but it's kind of like we're laying the groundwork, I feel like, to figure out, I've got like the first 8 pages laid out pretty well, and those were kind of the hardest. I think it'll be easier after that. So I think we'll start rolling now. Yeah, it's exciting. It's gonna be cool.
How do you do that? Like, how do you approach something like that?
I've never done this before, so I've never done it. I never done a kid's book. Normally it's just like a standalone thing. I did a bunch of illustration, a bunch. I did a few illustrations on like Genesis, but they like just sit by themselves. So this is a whole new thing. I make a bunch of tiny like thumbnails of each page and try to make sure they look okay. And I look through a bunch of kids' books to see what people normally kind of do. Although I don't know if this is gonna be like quite normal. It might be a little like my style or whatever isn't quite like cartoony or it's not quite like that. But I don't know. I think it'll still work out okay. I'm just like playing with the pieces because yeah, I don't know how to do it either. But we're figuring it out as we go. It's not
Yeah,
impossible.
the
Yeah.
stuff that he showed in the like the teaser video is, I mean, I was stunned by it. So the first time I heard him share the story, um, I was at work, and I'm so like when I'm on my day job, I do tile work, and so I'm in there, I'm tiling, and and he starts talking about this this book, and I'm like, oh, sounds really interesting. And he's going through it, and I don't know if I got a chemical imbalance or something, but like I'm just like weeping, like this like almost 300-pound 6'2" bearded weirdo in coveralls is like tiling and weeping like a bitch. And it's like I don't know, but like there's something really powerful in the way that the story is told. And I thought, man, it's not just the story though either. I think it's like the courage of an artist to I think there is a courage involved with art and sharing art and in general. And I also like to watch kind of like the like when the seed sprouts and the thing pokes through the soil and you get to watch the thing kind of grow. That's so exciting to like watch it in real time. And so all of that together makes a really interesting thing. And then as part of a community, whatever this community seems to be, so-called community, it's really exciting to be right in the middle of it. And it's like, it's great. It's very cool. It's
Yeah,
very
it's
akin to,
exciting. Like there's something exciting going on with it. I don't know what it is, but I also feel like this is a very creative community, I mean online community, but people are doing all kinds of weird things, but I like the idea of doing something you can hold in your hand, you know what I mean? And um I think that'd be cool. I feel like it would kind of make everything a little bit more real, you know what I mean? Besides just video content. It'd be cool if there were more in my opinion. I'm an artist, so I'm like, everybody should make things. But it'd be cool if more people were kind of doing that thing, I think, because like there's a lot going on in the group, and I feel like it would be so cool if it just kind of like rippled outward a little bit outside of just this little circle of internet people chatting to each other, you know?
Yeah, sure. Well, I think that that's the pattern, right? I mean, the pattern is for me, the pattern kind of starts with Rogan, and then it goes to Peterson, and then you got like other people. For me, this is how the progression worked, right? And for a lot of people, I think. And then it comes to it like some nobody pastor, and he starts putting his neck out there and being creative and trying to be personal with people. And so all that stuff starts to happen, and then it, like other people who are curious about such things, like, they'll put themselves out there a little bit, and so that's what's happened. And then you got like Peugeot, and he goes out there and he makes a call to artists, and then so like it just happens. So like the fact that Chris and you are like, and I think there's another project going. I don't know exactly the deal on this other project, but I think I heard Sherry, not Sherry Harkin, but Sherry, Canadian Sherry, talking about another project. She mentioned just kind of in passing in a video. I think it was on the Paul Vanderklay channel. But anyways, but like, so all it takes really is somebody to step out into traffic, right? And just do something. And then all of a sudden, like, it'd be inspiring maybe that for somebody else. And so it just starts happening, and it's cool. It's like, it does remind me of, I used to play in bands, or in a band, and like we didn't have any, we were an original metal band, and so nobody was going to pay us to come into their tavern to play. And so you had to, we really wanted to play. We really liked our music. We thought we had something that people would like. And so if they're not going to let us come play, then we'll just make our own shows. And so we went, we rented, like, first it was a VFW, and then and we had to pay for the room at the VFW. And we paid for the lights, and we paid for the sound. And then we would go and we would find out, like, we would seek out the best bands that we could possibly find that were all different. Like it wouldn't be like, and that's what was cool about like a local music scene, was you're not going to find two bands that are the same.
Right.
So you can find like 10 bands, and they're all different, and we and you can have an ear for what's good and what people like. And then we just do our own shows and charge the tickets, and then all of a sudden you start to build a community around that. There's a competitiveness, but it's a good competitiveness, because it's like, it's competitive in the way that it kind of nudges each other to like, so here's what we got. Oh, that's cool. What did you got? So then like wow, what when you hear the other band playing, you want to up your game a little bit. And so there's like it's competitiveness with a love. I don't know how to explain that, but it's really exciting.
Yeah,
And
I think this is kind of like an online local scene, right? Like this
totally.
is, yeah, which is cool.
Mhm.
Yeah, that I think Chris said something about that call to artist video that Peugeot put out was maybe what got him onto Paul Vanderklay. Something he got somewhere because of that video.
Yep.
And I remember that video too. It made me like cry. It was like, yeah, that was like, it was so like, I don't know, it was like heart-wrenching somehow. But yeah, I think like getting people, like getting together and like, but we gotta like, we gotta make stuff. Like you gotta make stuff, right? Because like these conversations are super cool, and then they pass, right? Like there's always new conversations. Like every day there's like 5 new conversations you can watch with people that you kind of know and follow. And I don't know, I want something in like to hold in my hands, like to just like it's real. Because we're not gonna be like, we're probably not all getting together, right? Like well, maybe sometime, I don't know. Like I think Paul talks maybe about like traveling around or something like that, but there's no place for people to come to. So having something real is like like it's so cool because like getting together a bunch of bands is like you're all right there. You get to enjoy it like right there. But I don't know. This is like a real thing, but it's online. So is it real? I don't know. You know?
Well, it is. So I haven't been on a lot of online or no online communities other than what this seems to be, but I imagine it's not the same
Yeah.
as other ones. In so I think there's a natural progression that would take place. I think before Peterson came back and before COVID, they were actually doing this. Like Vanderclay and Job, they would go out and they started something, and then COVID killed it. And then Peterson comes back, and so in a way, I think some of the attention is pulled away from the smaller community, but also at the same time, it's also feeding a bit too. So there's a natural progression I think that's going to happen, because you can't, like you said, you can't just have these conversations forever. It will, that in itself will get old. And so but I think we're all maybe trying to find our feet with this thing, and I know there's a lot of lurkers too. So there's probably more people who aren't creating stuff, like are having these conversations. They're watching and they're entertained by it. And so that's kind of cool. But yeah, who knows? I mean, I think I wanted to put together a film, but I think I kind of lost it for like my interest in it for right now, because once I started to like look at what it would take for me to do that, like I would basically have to totally unplug from daily content altogether. I'd have to practically unplug from my family, because I'd have to just be listening to content, recording, because the way I do stuff, I use my phone. I don't have a computer. So everything I do is on my phone. So I do a lot of screen capture. So I have to listen to the content, find the stuff I want, clip the content, edit it in. Plus, beyond all that, I have to find like the story I'd like to tell with whatever this documentary idea is, because that's been the most difficult thing. It's like I can see the story, I just don't know how I would tell it. So I kind of got intimidated by the whole project, because I don't have the time. I'm not like young like I once was. If this was like back in the day when I was in a band and single, I didn't have like, I just feel like, yeah, let's do this and go all out. But it's unfair to my family, because I'm also the kind of person my attention will just be pulled away and they'll suffer for it. And meanwhile, I'm over here like, but like I got to do this. And so because I'm a selfish bastard. And so but yeah.
What would be the general, do you have like a general idea for the documentary? Like what kind, like just show like about kind of the community part of it, or the like, I mean, where like was there like a thread you were following with that? Because it sounds interesting, but
Yeah.
also sounds like a big undertaking.
Yeah. No, so there's a couple things. So I'll give you, first of all, I'll give you another reason why I think it's weird and it might not work well, because in my mind, the documentary is like a 1 to 2 hour film, right? And the problem is all of the film will be about people who are generally having conversations that are 1 to 2 hours long, right? And so like how do you compress all of that from the community down into this? So maybe it would work, but the idea, the target would be to reach to people who haven't yet made it here, right? And so somebody might find this and they might be like, oh, that's really weird and interesting, like what's that? And then they're intrigued, and then they might want to come around and join the game or whatever. But
Promo for the whole community.
basically, yeah. I mean, it's like when I think of there was, so most of my documentary background is all of it has been watching. documentaries, but the documentaries I really love are like films that bands did, right? And they would follow a band around, or they might follow a music scene around. Like they did this, I think something like this in the Seattle music scene. There was something like this, and then in the the 80s music scene in Los Angeles, I think there was a film. I can't remember what it was called, but so what I found about those films, what I really loved is I would watch those films. Like more specifically, I was like a huge fan of Metallica. So I'd watch, there was this film that they made, that they released when the Black Album came out, called A Year and a Half in the Life of Metallica. And it was like basically 3 hours of them in the studio, and then like 3 hours of them on a tour. And so I loved it because you got like an inside look at the thing, and you saw the band interact, and like, and as a musician who was young, I was watch this, and every time I get done watching it, I'd go pick up my guitar and I'd be like lit up, like let's create, and so there was interaction as a viewer as well, and so that's the background and what kind of sparked the idea of how can I capture that spirit about this online community and whatever this corner of the internet seems to be, and put that in a film, and tell the story about love, basically. Love and creation, whatever this is, because like as being inside of it and seeing, watching before I got involved, watching others do it, there was a love there, and it's like this cool thing that's organic, and it only affords for honesty too, which I also love. Like, and it's not just ideas, it's people and their personal stories, and it's like it's deeply personal and intimate. And so how do you capture all that, compress it down for somebody who who hasn't yet made it?
That's a huge project.
Yeah, totally.
But it would be really cool. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you could do it. Not that I don't know, but it's a good idea.
Yeah.
Like, because it's been going on for how long has it been? It's been like 4 years or something. I don't know how long it's been going on, but it's like there's enough there.
Yeah, for sure. And there's, so like when you say like the Discord for you is kind of chaotic, like what part of it for you is chaotic?
I just found that it's like maybe some people are there to hang out or something. And I guess when I was going on there, I'm like, okay, I want to talk about specific things. And then I remember one time the conversation got lost. I was trying to chat with somebody about something, and the conversation got overtaken by cheese. Like everybody started talking about their favorite kinds of cheese, and I was like, I'm trying to have this like thing, but because of just the format, it was like, I'm like, this is madness. Like trying to talk about like Jung or like the Bible, and then somebody's like, I had a burger today, and you're just like, what? Okay, there's too many people here.
Sure.
Yeah. And so many channels now, like when I go on there and I'm like, where I haven't, I don't interact with it enough so that it is familiar, and I'm just like, I'm overwhelmed. But the smaller discords are great still. Like the art discord is like Sherry's group is nice because it's still small, so you can actually like have ongoing conversations without these like weird interjections. So that's what it was for me. I'm also just not as familiar with all the people probably in the Bridges of Meaning thing. Only a few people. Yeah.
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 Well, yeah, I've seen some people come and go too. And I've had how do I put this? Sometimes I'll get annoyed because sometimes I feel like all the talking about ideas can drive me up the walls sometimes.
Yeah.
And it's not because I'm above it, because I'm clearly I can do that. Like ideas in many ways kind of brought me to this space. But like when I think of what I'm really interested is kind of what you're talking about is pragmatics. Like let's make something, let's
Yeah,
do something,
stuff. Yeah.
like let's get our feet on the ground out there. And a lot of that for me came from my background in Alcoholics Anonymous, where it's all action oriented, relationship oriented, and that's where the healing comes from for me. And it's important to me because I'm terrible at it. Like I don't know how to be comfortable in a room. I can be very comfortable in a room full of people by myself. I'm good with that. You know what I'm saying?
No, what does that mean?
Like I
What do
could
you
be
mean
in
by
a room
yourself?
of like 300 people and be in a corner, be by myself and be fine.
Oh,
I'm good with
sure.
that. But that's not always healthy for me. Like, so I need to be stretched, and I got to go out there and meet people and talk to people. And it's still uncomfortable, but the more I do it, the better and easier it gets. And then the less I listen to this guy up here who's trying to say, fuck these people, get out of here, run, and so like, cause that's my default. My default
Yeah,
is
me too.
yeah. And so I'm a strange, I wouldn't say I'm introverted. I I like attention though too. Now there's the other thing. So I'm just a weird person. Like, so I love performing music. I love it. Like like for me, when I would perform music, I'd be able to go up on stage and play. The second I go up there, I become the dude that's up there, and I can be a different, just be come out of the shell. And then, but I'm using the art as the language between me and you. And so that's the arena of like, yes, this is comfortable. I like talking with the music, and doing all that. But like when it came time to get done playing, like the only way I'd really feel comfortable is if I was wasted. And then I can hang out with you guys because like I got my inhibitions are pulled away because I was able to get me pulled off of me with the drink. You know what I mean? And so yeah, that's what I mean by all that. But so
I can relate to that. I feel like I'm way less comfortable I'm trying to talk to people now. This is like a new thing. For the longest time, I'm just gonna draw things and you can look at them, but I'm not gonna show my face. I'm not gonna be like, this isn't personal. This is like, just keep it over there. And like, but that's also not very interesting in the end. Like, there has to be more than that, right? So working on it, but
I think something that like the current culture is lacking in comparison to the way that we would receive art in the past, right? Whether it was film or paintings or live music or live theater. There's a lack of mystery between the creator of the art and the art itself. So like what I mean by that is, it's a good example of this. So back in the day, there's this guy named Marilyn Manson. I don't know if you ever heard of him.
Yes, I've heard of Marilyn Manson.
Right. So what was really interesting about, like, I'm just using him as an example of this type of this mystery that's lacking today. And there's only like one artist I think that has this that I know of. But so Manson would have all these ridiculous stories about him that were just absurd. And you didn't know if they were real or not.
Like killing puppies on stage and stuff like that, or
whatever. Yeah, it's just there was a bunch of weird stuff. Like like Marilyn Manson he's that dude on Wonder Years. Like, you didn't know if that was real or not, right? And so like these kind of interesting rumors could be circulated, and you would only see Marilyn Manson once in a while on MTV or maybe in a magazine. And so there was like, or if you went to see him live or something. So there was like this huge separation between the person viewing the Marilyn Manson and Marilyn Manson. Now today, it's like, you have all your artists, to be relevant, they have to be on these screens. And then everything about them, like everything. And so it totally washes away the mystery of it, which is kind of a story, right?
Yeah, because you don't really want, like, a lot of the time, like with Marilyn Manson, somebody like that, you're not really there for like whoever he is behind the scenes. You want to see like that character, right? Who cares who he is in real life? I don't want to like see his Instagram, like
Right.
him at home. So yeah, there is a lot of that. Like there's like a pressure to share everything all the time and quickly. And it's
Right.
just yeah, it makes, like, I think creating creative work difficult right now. I don't know. I struggle with that too. It's like, do I draw things really quick so I can post it on Instagram, or do I take 6 months over something that's going to be way better, but take 6 months and no one hears about, no one sees me forever. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't like it,
Yeah.
but I
It's
don't know what to do with that.
utter it down, right? Like, because I think that there is something sacred between, for lack of a better word, the consumer and the whatever the art is. There's something very sacred, and I think, like, because I even think listening to music, right? I mean, to me, I think there is a kind of a role as a listener, but not only is there a role, but I think like there's almost like a how do I put this? It's so hard to. There's almost like an art to being a listener too. It's not just like you turn it on, you just sit there and like no, there's like an interaction, a personal interaction between the music. And then for me, music was probably the first thing that would help me to get off of me, and so that I could be like feel connected to the world. And so listening to music was the first thing. And so I loved it. I loved listening to like, wow, why did they do the guitar riff like that? Or I wonder what that lyric means to him or to this other person.
Yeah.
And so there's like a personal interaction with it. And I think there's almost an art to being, like I said, for lack of a better word, the audience. Yes.
Yeah, I feel like there's less of that now. I don't know if that's true or not, because like the digital thing was becoming, it took over basically after I was in like high school. By the time I got out of high school, everything's digital all the time. Right. But before, I mean, we like before that, it was different. It felt different, maybe, but that might have just been because I was a kid. Like I listened to Metallica or whatever and go through all the lyrics and be like, what does it mean? Oh, now I have to read this book because he referenced this thing. And then you get like, I don't know. I don't know anything about the people. It's just, you actually just interact with the music and get like way more into it. Maybe it's because there was less choice too, right? There wasn't like a million different things to choose from. There was like 5 things.
Right. Yeah.
What instrument do you play? Do you like what did you play in your band?
I played guitar in the band, and I did some backing vocals, and then I ended up after I went to jail and all that, and then that band folded, unfortunately. But I got sober, and then I was in a band with a lot of those same members for like 3 years, and we worked really hard we wrote all the songs. We got everything was lining up. We decided we're not going to release anything until we're not going to book any shows. We're not going to do anything until we have the record recorded and done. and then by the time the record's recorded, we'll have stuff booked up and ready to go. And we were like right there. And we called ourselves a number of different names, but the last iteration, the last name was called To No Avail, which is hilarious because so we ended up booking like I had like 4 shows ready to go. We had the recordings were all done, ready. I mean, so we started dipping our toe a little bit and like, all right, now let's see how people receive some of this stuff here and there. And it just imploded. And I was playing bass in that band. So it was the first time I got to play bass, and it was really, I loved it. Because like my favorite musicians were bass players, right? And I was never really disciplined enough to be an actual great guitar player. Like I could play and play well, but I couldn't. I wasn't somebody who would take the time to practice every day. And
Who's your favorite bass players?
my favorite bass players, well, Cliff Burton clearly is the guy that, and it wasn't just like his playing, it was like a whole, like we were talking about, this whole persona, this whole character who's like bigger and larger than life, who has a legendary story. And, and people talked about what kind of a big heart he had. And he just like was this monster of a musician who was just kind of just a different, totally different thing. And I remember I was 12 years old. I got 2 records for my birthday, or 2 CDs for my birthday. One was Hotel California, which I loved, and the other was Kill 'Em All. And I remember like being in the basement, and I put on this CD, Kill 'Em All, and I was like, I heard a couple of Metallica songs, right? A few Metallica songs, but I'd not heard Kill 'Em All, and I put Kill 'Em All on, and you get to Anesthesia, Pulling Teeth, and it's just like, and I like to read the sleeve, I want to read all the stuff. I'm like, what the fuck, dude? This is insane, dude. And it was just mind blowing. And it's like, that's something that you don't get every day. And there's a reason why somebody like that, who was around for a little amount of time that he was, will have like this totally impactful forever place in the hearts of musicians everywhere. And it's genuine. And so there's that guy. And then Roger Waters, he's not my favorite musician, but he was my favorite lyricist. Roger Waters was basically the primary songwriter for much of early Pink Floyd records. Okay. So he wrote, like Dark Side of the Moon and Animals and The Wall and Wish You Were Here, all those records. I mean, and you just think about the impact that those records had, and the stuff that he's talking about. And there was like a vulnerability to, I think, the lyrics and the way that they told stories with not just the music, but the background stuff going on in the record that paints a whole picture and just makes something so like an incredible experience all around. And so those are the things that I fell in love with music that really shaped me. And then well, later comes Eminem, and that just blew. So I'm 38, so I guess, yeah, I was like just out of high school, basically. That dude, and the weird thing about Eminem to me is, so he had like this little lull where he's making stuff I'm not really that interested in, and then like the last few things that he's brought out is like, how does a guy that's in the game that long like continue and like just go to levels that are beyond where he was when he got here? It was kind of weird.
Yeah, he's interesting. I'm like from Michigan, right? So he's from Detroit. So it's kind of like a thing, everybody has to love him here. It's like a thing. I remember listening to that when I was like 12, which I probably shouldn't have been, but it was like standard. I feel like because you live by Detroit, that's what's on. Yeah, that's that was where I saw Metallica too. I saw Metallica as my first concert. I was 14.
That's
Yeah,
awesome, dude.
yeah,
That's awesome.
that was so fun. So anyway, but
Yeah, I mean, so those guys, I mean, like, and the thing with Eminem too, I think like there's just there's something that's kind of ineffable in all of these different artists. It's like you can't really capture it exactly. It's like, um, and I think that it's genuine, and it's like there's a reason. It's not just that it was sold, but there's a reason why so many people are drawn to it and are willing to go above and beyond to watch the artist and listen to their, pay for their music and all this different stuff. And yeah, all that stuff is phenomenal. For me, I wasn't, excuse me, this beard is driving me berserk. The um there's something in these artists that that you just can't capture. It's totally different. Sorry, I just lost my train of thought there for a second.
I did too. That's okay.
But yeah, anywho.
Music artists back. I can't remember past that. I get really sick.
But oh yeah. So I wasn't raised in a church at all. So for me, the meaning that I was finding in life could only come from things like film and secular music and things like this. Those are so huge for me, and I think that each of us people, I think in general, and some might disagree, but I think we have a longing for the good. So the good's going to come out of that stuff, you know, and so that's what it did for me, you know.
Yeah, I wasn't raised in church either. So that was for me too. It was like music was like my identity, that was how I had an identity. It was like Metallica and then Coheed and Cambria. You ever heard of them?
I love Cambria.
Yeah, they also had this cool like conceptual thing going on. So it was like a whole framework for the songs, which I thought was cool. It was like world building or whatever like that. And then Tool. I had that like a series of obsessive stages that were way more formative because I didn't have a church thing. I didn't have like that's where I was getting everything from.
Yeah.
It's music, which probably isn't uncommon. That's probably super normal. But
I don't hear enough people talking about it though, which I think it's like a mistake. There's so much in there. Dude, Coheed and Cambria. Are you kidding me, dude?
They're so good.
You know, a band like that, and their first record, in Keeping Secrets, like a Silent Earth, that thing is unbelievable to me. And there's something too like that you find in older recordings, even though that's not a terribly old recording, but you can go back like, well, let's just talk about Coheed right now, because like the first record, it audibly, like sonically, it's not the best captured, technically captured recording.
That kind of makes it nice.
But yeah, it's perfect, right? It's like, and then you have songs like just the way it opens up, very cinematic and
theatrical, kind of like Pink Floyd or something, right?
Totally. And so you can have like 3-minute pop songs, like to like 12-minute progressive songs like 2113.
Oh yeah,
it's a believable song, dude. And
yeah.
Like I was the light,
the light in the something, the pen, the light in the pen, the light in the
light.
It's been a little, yes. Wow, I haven't listened to it in a bit, but that I lit like on loop for like years. That was just because it's so good, and I couldn't find anything that had that much like substance to it.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry, that was their second record. No, because their first record was Turbine Blade.
Yeah.
I don't really like that record.
Yeah,
I'm a bad Coheed fan because I wasn't into that record. But the first or the second record is unreal. Then of course you get to Burning Star 4. And, oh, like, dude, are you kidding me, dude? Like, it's just so huge. But yeah, those guys, and Tool, of course, obviously, you know.
Yeah.
So all these different artists, I mean, and the fact that you got people who are able to work together and make this music and be able to, like, even though the topics aren't talking about anything particular religious or anything like this, they're still delivering something that's real, and they're good. I would almost say, like, some might call it a supplement, but it's more than that, because those things imprint still today for me. And it's important. Like, it's so important. Like, those very, very tender and intimate moments by myself personally with those records, and they got me through things. And yeah, I don't know. But film too, though. I'm a huge fan of film, like different movies. Yeah, all that different stuff is crazy good.
So when did you get into church then? If you didn't, like, was it the Alcoholics Anonymous thing that got you into church, or like, or do you go to church? I don't know. I guess I'm assuming.
So the way it worked for me was I ended up burning my life to the ground, and I landed in Alcoholics Anonymous, and it worked. And so the thing in Alcoholics Anonymous that they have, so Alcoholics Anonymous is a practical program of action, and it's a fellowship of people who are sharing their experience, strength, and hope so that they can recover and help other people recover, right? And it's based on a process, a program of action that was laid out in a book that was written in 1939. And in that book, it's written by alcoholics for alcoholics. And they talk about, so they basically sum up alcoholism as a spiritual sickness, right? And they say, really, here's the problem with this is what you have with the physical, here's what you have with the mental, and all that's driven by a spiritual problem. And so, and the spiritual problem really manifests in many different ways. And at the bottom of it really is heightened self-centeredness and selfishness. Really, at the end of the day, I'm programmed or written to look out for me. And this is how I am. And I'm always afraid. And so that manifests in many different ways. It manifests in dishonesty, all sorts of stuff. And I need relief from that. And I can't seem to feel like a person amongst people, but alcohol fixes that. So alcohol in itself is like a spiritual solution, right? It works. So what they say is, so here's what we found. We found that a spiritual solution, and so they have a terminology in there called God as you understand him. And basically what they're saying is, we don't care what you call it, doesn't matter to us. If it makes sense to you, work with it. So that worked for me, because I didn't like the idea of Christ. I didn't like the idea I had about Christ, which was, why would somebody who is such a spiritual leader say something like, you can't go to heaven unless it's through me, and I'm your savior? To me, that didn't sound, there was like no humility in it at all. And not that I had any, but that's my perception of it, was like, it just seemed off. And so, but I was willing to do this thing, this God of your understanding. And I'd been doing that for like 8 years and staying sober. So I was like praying. I was, doing some type of meditation. I was going out and helping others. I was not drinking. My life was getting put together. I was getting a little more mature, a little more responsible. And so I reached a point where the idea of God of my understanding, it reached its limit for me. I needed to understand, because the idea that I had was, the realm of the spirit is broad, roomy, all-inclusive, and never exclusive for those who seek it. That was my God, right? this idea of, as long as I seek it, and as long as I do these steps and seek God, whatever that seems to be, I'll be okay. And that worked for a very long time. And I reached a point where I had a longing to know more. And I couldn't understand how Christians wrap their mind around Christ. It just didn't understand it. And I was like really kind of distraught about it. And I went to my sponsor, who's a Christian, and I said, I don't understand. How do you, I'm like, you're a smart dude. Like, you're an intelligent person. How do you wrap your mind around Christ? That makes no sense to me. And he's like, I don't know. It just makes sense to me. I've done my whole life. I'm like, that's not helpful to me, you know? And so and thank God he left it there too, because like, he didn't muddy it up. He let me discover, right, and seek him more. And so I come to a place where I was, the best way I can describe it is, imagine a piece of like a window, right? I'm on this side of it, and I'm standing there, and I notice all the other people over there who are those Christian people, and I'm doing like a lot of what they're doing, and sometimes I think I'm doing more than what they're doing, and I don't understand how they can buy it. But it's like it was like there's a separation. Like, I'm in the same room, but there's a glass separating us, and it's bothering me. And I realized that I never actually sought like what Christ had actually said, or like I had prejudices basically that were blocking me. And so I said, fine, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up. I remember a friend of mine said to me, if you ever want to read the Bible, go get a Bible with red words and read only the red words. And I'm like, so I remembered he said that to me. So I found this audio book that was called the Complete Sayings of Jesus Christ in Chronological Order. And so I was at work one day, and I'm listening to this book, and it's all scripture, but it's only what Jesus said basically in his interactions. And I come across the story of Legion, and like, so like I heard the story, and boom, I'm on the other side of the glass. For some reason, the story of Legion, it flipped me. Like, it just flipped me. I didn't have any defense against it. I didn't think my way into it. There was nothing. Like, for me, the miracle of it was the desire and desperation to know exactly how those people understand was lifted. It pulled away. It didn't have to be there. And so it was like, doesn't matter, Chad. Like, it was as if God said, doesn't matter. Just go be useful and seek me still. Okay. So that's what happened. And like, that's why I think, like, when people talk about their beliefs, it's like, well, people talk about their beliefs as if they can actually manage their beliefs. And I don't think you can.
Yeah.
I think it's something like, it truly is a gift. It's not, it can't be generated. Like, so that's what happened to me. And there's a lot of people I talk with who, like, they can't explain what happened or anything like that. And it's like, so that's what happened to me. And now the trick is, well, now I'm on the other side of the glass. I got pretty lazy in my AA life. And that's not good, because that's where how do I put this? Well, that's where I get to participate with him, really. That's where I get to find the sick, and that's where I get to tell them how I'm sick, and this is where the healing happens. And so I need to be doing that. But like, the problem is, I told Chris this the other day, I'm like, it's like since I've been a Christian, it's like it's been easier just to be lazy about it. Like, I feel lazier. Like, oh, it's whatever. Christ loves me. It's so lazy.
I see that.
For me, like the before it was almost easier because it was almost as if I can hold my God, right? Because my God was seeking. So I sought through service to others. And I knew that if I didn't do that, I would eventually drink again and I would die. And so, yeah, if I can, and I think I'm just in a season right now where I'm getting realigned, basically. So it's just a matter of, I know what the problem is. Now it's a matter of getting on track, right? So, because I see a lot of people leave Alcoholics Anonymous through the church and drink again, and no, can't happen. I can't afford for that to happen. It's not the church's fault either.
Yeah, sure. So
So
it's more, it's a go help people thing and not so much which church service I'm attending thing.
oh yeah, no, like
Yeah.
I go to a Lutheran church, but I don't even know what that means. I don't really care. It doesn't matter to me. Like I'm doing my wife, I started doing church so I can engage with some of this stuff, spiritual stuff more with my wife, and kind of try to grow more in a different community other than just AA. And I like scripture and I like stuff like this and I like to talk about it. And so that's all good. It's just I can't lose focus on what my purpose here is. And my purpose is to be useful to other drunks. That's the primary purpose. Without that, I don't have anything. Like I was living my last year of drinking, I was living in the band space, the practice room, on the floor in an office building. And like it was basically I was homeless and you know, I got the 4 DUIs and I went to jail and then AA took and stripped me down and showed me how to live and provided me with principles and a way of design for living that would give me a life beyond my wildest dreams. That I wouldn't even picked this. It wouldn't have even been on my radar for several reasons. And here it is. And this, like, I just got married October 2020, and then we just bought a house November. And like, dude, that's insane. You know what I mean? Like,
Congratulations.
no, but it's like, but that won't save me.
Yeah, well, I guess, but it's more reasons to do the thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I guess the way of looking at it is, when I know this about myself, when I get really comfortable, when things are really good, I have a tendency to become complacent, and I just got to keep my eye on that. That's all.
Yeah, I think I do that too, though. I mean, that's normal, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay, so you're realigning. Actually, I feel like that's like a theme right now, though, with a lot of people. It's like there was a lull. I don't know if it's just me and people I've been talking to. There was like a lull, and everybody's like, okay, time to like get back in it or something like that. I don't know. I'm hearing that all over the place. I feel
Well,
like that too.
yeah, right. It's like it's just seasons in life. Like,
Yeah.
there's also the concept of like my character defects and the things that keep me how do I say that? The things that kind of like that. My sponsor would say, Chad, don't try and run too far away from your character defects, because those are the things that keep you coming here. Right? Because like if I got really well, if I really got, if tomorrow I woke up and all my character defects were taken away and I was just this great dude, like, do you really think I would go back to Alcoholics Anonymous? No, like, no, I wouldn't do it. Like, and so it's the stuff that keeps me closer to him. And then now, like, it's been a relief to be able to like actually say to grow with Christ. Like, that's crazy to me. And it's still like, And I say that almost with shame because I know I'm not there yet. Like there's a lot of growing still to do. And
Do you ever get there though? I mean, like, do we ever get any, like, do we get to the end goal? You know, it's like
Mm.
moving and staying in the same place at the same, you know, like,
Yeah.
I don't know if there's an end, really.
I think you're right. I
Yeah.
think you're, yeah. And like, it's like this double-edged,
Yeah, paradoxical or something.
yeah, yeah, because like there's a desire to grow more with him, but that too can be an idol.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I like what Chris was talking about with this step. He was talking about it's like this theory of a step, like you walk and there's no step there, but you can't stay here on the step you are, and you can't go backwards because the one
Oh,
you
yeah.
raised. So it's you just keep moving, and it's like, yeah,
Yeah, you have to keep yeah, otherwise you do get complacent otherwise, right? And you start ignoring, I don't know. I feel like that right now. I talked to, okay, you know, I talked to Paul whatever the other week, and that happened, and then I've been talking to people all this week, you know, people who message me and were like, "Hey, I have a little story to share, like, let's do that." And I think I was getting really cozy before that, and it was weird hearing a bunch of people say kind of the same thing over and over again, and it reminded me of being in a worse place and going like, I think that's why I was doing this in the first place, was like things were like kind of horrible. I thought, okay, so what people have been telling me this week is they're like, I have something crazy to share. It's going to sound nuts. And then I'm like, okay, well, just tell me, it's probably not that crazy. And then they tell me, and I'm like, I've heard crazier. Like, it's fine. Like, it's not that crazy. You know, you're not the only person something like that's ever happened to. And they go, really? Are you sure? And I'm like, yeah, definitely. It's fine. Right. And they don't know that because they won't talk about it because nobody's talking about their weird, like, I don't know, their weird experiences or like the things that just don't fit, you know, those fringy things. And I don't know, it just like kicked me in the ass. So like, okay, like let's talk about the real stuff then. Let's skip over the we have to talk about the weird things, you know. So because there's all these people going around going, it's just me and nobody else. I must be crazy. And then you're like, no, this isn't that bad. Like this is mild. And I talked to one guy who said that he's like, this is gonna sound nuts. I'm like, this sounds fine. I think you're like, this is good. You sound great. And he was like, are you sure? I'm like, yeah, that's you're good, man. Like this is not weird. But nobody would say it. And now and so I don't know. That's just I'm like, oh, like okay, I have to. I don't know what it did. It made me go, okay, there's maybe I have to say the crazier things then so that everybody goes, okay, she's way crazier than I am. So it's okay if I like tell my weird thing. I don't know. That's how I felt this week. So yeah.
oh yeah. I wish you could see my face right now. I'm like smiling from ear to ear right now because, like, what you're to me, what you're speaking my language now. Like you're talking about like the most dear thing in my life, which is like we're more siblings in our defects than we are in our virtues. You know, like that's basically the the principle at the bottom of the whole like 12-step program would be exactly what you talked about because it's my shame, it's um my perception of what's going on in my life, my secrets that are they're really separating me. Those are the things that are really killing me. I'm so weird that I got this going on. No, you don't understand. Everybody does. You know, we're just people.
Yeah.
And yeah, when you the highest we get to be is people.
Yeah. Weird people. I mean, too, everybody's got their weird thing, right? And some people might be a little weirder than others, but like, and I don't know. It's like, this is just my perception, but especially when you get a bunch of Christians together, it gets very polite and cozy real quick. to me, this is just, but like, sometimes then you can't come up with those weird, like those things that you're not supposed to talk about. And those are really the things that we got to talk about, right? And um I don't know, I think that's maybe where I'm floating on the edges, because if I get too close to the center or something of something, I can't explore that as much, or you know what I mean? It'd be like I still have to be able to dig around in those things and look around and see what's there, I think. I think that's what I'm doing. I don't know.
Yeah, the church was never meant to be Disneyland. You know what I'm saying? Like you gotta, yeah. Because to me, like it's like one of the most. Did somebody just join us?
No, but I think my Discord just did a thing.
Oh, the most egotistical thing that somebody like me can tell myself is I should be better than I am now. Why can't I just be better? It's been all this time. I should be better, and it's like you don't know, dude. You don't know. Like in theory, sure, but like if I were really take a closer look at it, it's like holy shit. Like I'm way different than I was when I first started out on this journey, and so and all of that came from being able to be vulnerable with somebody and like like I honestly believe that like anybody should be able to should take the steps of Alcoholics Anonymous because they for them to be successful it takes exactly what you're saying and like there's like beyond gold there like and why I think it works with the alcoholics is because an alcoholic knows an alcoholic. You can't bullshit me, dude. Like really, So it's like there's an honesty there that if it's not there, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
And yeah, that and then cleaning up the past. Without that doesn't work either. Because it's not the things that alcoholics do that get them drunk or keep them drunk. It's the things they left undone, right? It's the things they've not fixed or tried to make right or amend.
Yeah, so it's like instead of focus, I don't know, I like that approach so much. Like I don't have any experience with Alcoholics Anonymous or anything like that, but it just sounds practical and it's almost like you look down instead of up. Not like you wouldn't look up, but do you know what I mean? Like you look at all the like the dirty details and you go like, okay, let's deal with that. Like instead of just, I don't know, maybe focusing on the virtues and striving upward, like I'm headed up. It's like, well, maybe we should look down and see what's there first or something like that. I don't know. That makes sense to me.
Occupation.
Yeah.
It's the shadow stuff,
Yeah, exactly.
and
That's always what needs to be dealt with. It's like any time ever, that just seems to, that's always the thing.
Right.
Yeah. It doesn't go away or something like that. So yeah, that, I don't know, that makes perfect sense to me. Like, of course, let's talk about all the bad stuff or the crazy stuff, the weird stuff first, and then maybe something will happen later, but like focus on that, like the small things, right? Or like the gross things or what you think is gross. It's usually, it's sometimes not even that bad.
Right.
Just you locked it up or something.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And then the thing too is like, because a lot of us, a lot of the drunks, we start off on this journey thinking that we're the victim. And there's been things in the past that were terrible that has been better if they hadn't happened, but they did. And whether they happened to me or whatever, like what I get to do is take responsibility and then not only that, but look at when I get an honest look at myself, like I'm able to kind of like see other people for kind of what they are too. Like it's hard to explain this, but how about this? Okay, so if somebody how do I put this? So in your life, when you've harmed somebody, right? If you've harmed somebody, I'm assuming in some way you have harmed somebody.
Okay.
Would you say that you were spiritually fit when that was happening?
No.
Right.
Right.
So could it have been any other way?
You mean could have avoided it? Because like probably not at the time, right?
Right. Exactly. Right.
You just can't
Right.
operate.
Right. So it's like, it's not a matter of letting the other person off the hook, but it's a matter of saying, oh, they, at that time in their life, there couldn't have been any other way. So I get to see how I'm just like them, and they, like myself, are sick, possibly sick too. And so that whole thing changes everything. And then, but it's difficult too, because it's still difficult. I have to maintain that mindset, because it's easy in a world where people are assholes, right? And I'm like, oh, asshole there, asshole. It's all that, and so I have to, like, when I think about some of my greatest resentments in my life, the ones that I would say, no, I'm totally justified in this resentment. When I actually look at the way that person, how they got there, how they became the person they were, it's like there's absolutely no other way that it could have been. And so how can I stay in a place where I'm hating somebody who had basically no other way around it? And that's tough, man. It's tough.
Yeah,
But
that is tough.
not to sound like a hippie or anything like that, but it's because I can't afford to hold on to it.
Right, but it's like it's so easy to look at other people, just asshole, but when you have to actually stop and commiserate or sympathize or go like, yeah, me too, like, and you can't do that anymore, which is probably good, but you have to like let all that go.
Oh, but I can't, but I still do.
Well, yeah, of course. I mean,
That's the humility. That's the thing that keeps me for. I'm not saying I'm humble, but that's the thing that keeps me, because I've seen it work. I've seen that positive action, and I've seen the positive results. So it's like, oh, I know this works. Today I might feel like I might even be an asshole. All right, get back on track and get into it, because like that's what keeps me. And what do they say? Keep your feet to the fire or some shit. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
sounds right.
Yeah. So yeah, I feel like I've talked so much about me. Okay, so okay,
Oh no.
do we still have some time?
Yeah, we have some time.
Okay, I wanted to talk about your art, like your process, the process of art for you. Like what's that all like for you? Like
That's a big question.
yeah.
Yeah, so I did share this on Paul. I don't know if I'll just say it again, but I had this like wild acid trip when I was in college, right? And it was like a mystical experience kind of thing. And after that, my drawings were different. Like I just drew differently. I didn't mean to, it just happened, right? It just was different. And after that, the creative thing was like, I've always been like that, right? I was always the kid in art class, and I like to write, and it was always a thing, but it became, I didn't really know what to do with it. I'd always be doodling and whatnot, but there wasn't like a purpose to it, I guess. Like a narrowed purpose, except for maybe just like angsty teenage feelings or something like that. After that though, it was like I started laying things out in a way, and somehow the art was like it was helping me lay things out because I was so confused. I was just like, I was very confused. And disoriented, and I didn't have like a framework for how to be a person, right? I didn't know, and I was looking around me. I'm like, nobody else knows, or if they do, they can't seem to communicate it to me, or I can't communicate with them, or something's wrong. So it was like it focused my attention on trying to get those things sorted, basically, like to construct a worldview or something like that that included my experience, actually, instead of like maybe just what I've been told, or like, what you just get handed, you know, as a young person. And so that's kind of how it really got going. Um and I was having a pretty bad time after the whole mystical acid trip, because it was really great. And then everything after that, I knew how bad everything after that was. I was like, everything is chaos. I'm chaos. I'm not being very honest. I'm not trying at the things I should, it was just a mess. And so the drawings were like the way to get out, like it helped me like keep a focus to kind of get out of that. And I was like listening to Jordan Peterson on loop, and um just focusing on that. It was like the most meaningful thing that was going on for me. So that's what I was doing. Like all my spare time was like that. I did Jonah and the Whale, which was like the first Bible drawing, and then I started on Genesis. So I was like, maybe I should focus on this like foundational story of like our entire culture. Maybe that would help me construct a worldview, right? And yeah, that helped. I mean, they don't really look like Genesis drawings, to be perfectly fair, but that's what I was keeping my attention on, and it got me through some really bad times, and helped. Like it did help. Like it was like I was working on it while I was doing that. I was like trying to sort out my shit the whole time. So it was like, I don't know, I don't plan out drawings. I don't like, I mean, I plan them like a little bit, but then I kind of will just put it down and put down like the paper or whatever, and then it just has to come out, right? Like it's like it's already there, but it's latent, and I just got to get out of the way and like let it go. And I can't force myself to be creative. If it's not coming, it's not coming. Like it's shitty, because sometimes I'm like, oh, somebody asked me to, they hire me for a drawing, and I'm like, cool, I'm supposed to be like an artist, right? Like great, like a commission. And if it doesn't want to go, I just can't. It's like it won't go. So frustrating. um yeah, so I don't know, it's a lot of stuff comes from like dreams that I've had, or um I read a lot of like Carl Jung, and I listen to Peterson a lot, and I like medieval manuscript kind of stuff. So I look into all those things, and it probably like influences me, but I don't really know how it comes about. Like I look at my stack of drawings, I got them all out the other day, I lined them up like all on the wall so I could see, what do I have? And I'm like, I don't know where this came from. I don't know who made that. It was weird. Um, I don't know if that answers your question,
Yeah. So
but
like, did you said writing too. Did you do like what kind of writing did you do?
well, I mean, like when I was a kid, I would like write poetry or short stories, like stuff that, little girls normally do. But um I would say I have a really visual imagination, right? Like I can go in my head, I can see
Yeah.
lots of things, right? And so sometimes writing them down catches it more than trying to draw it.
Yeah.
And a lot of that stuff is that kind of thing. Weird fantasies and, dreams extended, like what was that about? Or um I don't know. Nothing, like not a book, or not a novel or something like that. Just I don't know. Just letting it go.
Yeah. So I was asking because like I've when I got into this online space, I started noticing other people would be creating poetry. Well, like when I was a kid, I would do that. And I also wrote lyrics for music. and I hadn't done it for a very long time. And so I thought I wasn't interested in creating music anymore, but I could do poetry. I wonder what that's like again. So I started jumping into that, and it was kind of a re-entry point for me into the arena of the imaginary, and which was great because like, so I was asking because like when I'm writing poetry or really in short stories, my wife and we would write short stories and we share them with each other. I'm like, so we use a prompt, and then so we'll read a prompt, she'll write her story, I'll write mine, and we'll share them. But when I hear the prompt, I see a picture of something, a scene, or so it doesn't, and it's so off the wall, it like doesn't really, you wouldn't think that it connects, right? But so that will be the point, the starting point of the seed breaking open, right? Is that image, and so my story will come out of that basically, and then I'll follow that because so that's how it works for me. And same thing with poetry. Maybe a question will come to mind, or usually it's a question like that needs. I can't really formulate the question either. I just know that there's a question here.
Mm-hmm.
So I start writing, and the question starts to come up, and then ideas about the question start to form as I'm doing that, and it's all welling up. It's not. I think the only cognitive part of it for me is when I'm trying to find the right word. Obviously, what am I trying to say here? So I think you think of this word and boom. So that's as much thought, but usually it's more like dictation than anything. So
Mm-hmm.
I was wondering if for you, if the visual art you're creating is like that as well, where there's a narrative going off as you're creating.
Yeah, it's like a question or something. Like it's like I'm trying to figure something out, or I'm trying to, when you have an emotion that you don't know what it is, it's not like I'm just happy or sad. It's like something too big to catch.
Mhm.
But sometimes you can put it in images and get it that way because you can't talk about it, something
Sure.
like that. And yeah, with the writing too, though, I think in images too. So it like comes out as like a painting with words or something like that, right? It's like a weird flow that's like, I don't know. It's not really about the words. It's like something else. I'm not sure
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
Yeah. So like here's an example of this. So I had one of the first prompts that we shared was, the prompt was what your shrink really thinks when you tell them about your day, your life, and something else. And so and I thought it said dog in there too, but it didn't. I misheard it. But so when I heard this, the image that came to mind was a guy um, who has to be sent to a psychiatrist or a therapist or something because he was inappropriate at work at a dinner party with another employee, and it was by accident. Like that was, but this is all the image that came to mind was this guy who had to go to this psychiatrist, and parallel with that was you never hear actually what the psychiatrist thinks, but you get a picture of his life. And so like I had this, and the picture of his life was he's a guy who is a drunk who lost his daughter and his wife, and so that's the psychiatrist. But so you get a picture of his life, and you could tell all he's been thinking about is his loss for like 20 years. But I also had this other image of, like I said, the guy, the patient, and the patient, his life is falling apart too, but he doesn't know it. And he's a good guy. He's an idiot. And so like this is the image that came to my mind. And so the whole story came out of that. I loved it. It felt so free to these characters needed to get out. And then like when you write it, or in your writing, it's like when we were kids. Do you remember what it was like to be a kid when you live in imagination land, where like it was like a totally different space up here, like, and you're playing imagination with your friends, and everybody knows it's imagination, but it doesn't, but nobody's talking about how they know it's imagination. You're just in it. And as I grow older, that goes away.
Yeah.
And the closest I've been able to be able to step into that is by allowing the creative imagination to just do whatever it does. And it's so freeing, because there's so much information between me and the page that whoever reads it or whatever, and even if I read it later, I would never even know. But it's when it's happening. Like there's a release that happens there that's very informative and freeing.
That's a really cool thing to do. Like you built a whole story off the one. Like, where does it come from? Can you follow where it comes from? It just happens, just appears.
That's the ineffable, and it's a beautiful thing. So cool, and it's addictive in a way too. The only problem I have with it is the second I recognize that this might be good is the second it starts to die.
You can't be self-conscious of it. Yeah.
Right.
I have to listen to something in the background when I'm drawing, because otherwise I have a running commentary in my head like, this is so dumb. I can't believe you're doing this right now. This is a waste of time. No one's ever going to see this. Why are you doing this right now? And I have to drown it out with something, or I'll like sabotage it and not do anything. Yeah, you can't be like self-conscious in that space. You gotta like get away from that somehow. At least for me, yeah. Because it gets in the way.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you want to stay in the pocket of gratitude. And it's not a pocket of, it's not because what happens to me is it starts with a gratitude of, wow, this is great. I can't believe that whatever this is, it's happening, and it feels it's a beautiful thing, and it's very good. And then a commentary for me where I step out of the gratitude is, oh, I'm doing a good job. I'm doing this. And it distracts me. Then that's when the other guy comes in and said, no. And then it starts to diminish the whole process. I did this with painting. I started doing watercolor paintings just to kind of like be ironic. Like I wanted to, I was on house arrest at the time. This is way back when I first got sober, and I couldn't do anything or go anywhere. So my sister-in-law gave me like some paper and some watercolors and stuff. And I thought, oh, this would be fun. I can like poke fun of the process of hoity-toity painters. And so I was just doing it for funsies and like poking fun at the process. And then I found that I really loved it. It was a lot of fun. And it was satisfying. And then I started to think, wow, these paintings are really good. And it just killed it. It just went all, yeah. So
that's funny. So like, do you have to like, so you can't reflect on what you're doing while you're doing it? Or
I can reflect in gratitude. Like there's a difference, right? I can be grateful, like, wow, and I guess it's glory, give glory where it goes, where it belongs, not take the credit. I get to be a channel. Remember, I'm a channel, and then act in gratitude with the channel. But the second I try to possess the channel as if I own it, it goes away.
Yeah. Yeah, I find that too. I think it's common. I don't know. I wish I could force myself to just do things and like be like, now I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do it exactly how I want it. And it just doesn't work that way.
Right.
Yeah, that does not happen. Did you maybe leave a poem on some video that I like? Are you leaving poems on people's comment sections?
Yeah, I every once in a while I'll make these poems, and
I
those
think I
are
read
fun.
that today. Yeah.
Oh,
That was
Cool.
cool. Yeah,
Yeah,
that was
I like the alliteration. I like the trying to figure out what my brain's trying to say about this. And yeah, it's fun. I like it.
it's cool to stumble on in a comment section where you don't expect it. Yeah, that was cool.
Thanks.
Yeah.
So, well, this has been an awesome conversation. And I'm looking forward to spending more time with the art group. I need to
Yeah.
try to get Discord. But yeah, thank you for taking the time and talking with me. It's been really cool. I've been wanting to talk about more of our relationship with the ineffable through this creative process, that this channel that we get to play in. So thanks for doing that with me.
Yeah, thanks for reaching out. That was cool.
Awesome. Well, have a good day. I'm just gonna stop recording here. Oh, wait, stop. Where is it? There. Where is it? Disconnect. No. Oh boy. It is.